Welcome to B2B in Flux. This is where we dig into how marketing, sales, and buyers connect in today's B2B world. What's working, what's broken, and what's evolving.
So welcome to the B2B Influx podcast. It's for marketers who want to understand the people and customers that they're really selling to. In B2B software and tech marketing, we often talk about the buying committee. That's the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, the COO. We know the deal is rarely one person. It's usually 6 to 10 stakeholders all pulling information in parallel. But to the marketing team trying to reach them, those stakeholders don't always feel like real people. They stay as titles on a slide or a persona on a deck. This podcast is a set of short conversations with the buying committee, the real people behind those roles that you're targeting. I want you to hear how they actually work day to day, the pressures they deal with, what they pay attention to, what they ignore, and which marketing content they genuinely consume when a decision is on the line. My goal is simple. It's to give you a clearer edge and help you drop what doesn't work, double down on what does, and refine your marketing and sales approach to how buyers really behave. Today, I'm joined by Sindhu Srivastava. Sindhu is a CEO who's been involved in multiple tech and software negotiations throughout her career. We're going to keep the chat informal and practical, focused on what buying looks like from her seat and what vendors get right and wrong when they're trying to win stakeholders in her position. So let's get into it. Sindhu, welcome to the show.
John, thank you so much for having. And yeah, I love the real person behind the scenes. As a company that has an almost seven-figure software budget, I have to say this is apt, and I'm happy to be chatting.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, from your LinkedIn, you've got to have some great experience to call upon here. So let's set the scenes to the audience. So what does your role look like today? What kind of companies are you involved in, and what kind of problems do you spend most of your career around?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for that question. I am the CEO of WeCrush AI, which is a AI startup company that measures connection scores. I'm also the CEO of WeCrush Events, an 8-figure event management company. That's kind of where the biggest revenue piece that I oversee comes from. I am the founder of a nonprofit, Girls Who CEO. We are on a path to raising a 7-figure amount this year. And I'm also on the board of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, EO Women, and EO Silicon Valley. The biggest goal that I have, a 3-point agenda really. One of my biggest goals is via WeCrush AI and via WeCrush Events to help companies see that bringing people together is a high ROI exercise. Because like you just touched on, it's not a machine at the end of the other end buying. It's a human being like myself that is doing the buying. And I usually buy from people that I trust, that I like, that I'm connected to, and that is a human exercise. If I feel like the company that is selling to me does not get my problems and my issues, I am going to choose a company that does get me. So it's a big competitive advantage to really for companies to get to know my team intimately and our problems intimately. Because again, if they don't have skin in the game, then why am I interfacing with this company? The second, so really investing in human connection is a very huge part of my job, especially with WeCrush AI and WeCrush Events, which is a corporate events company. The second bit of my job is I'm a mom to 2 little girls with Girls Who CEO. When I became a CEO, I realized that I had a lot of mindset work to do, a lot of inner work to do, and I had executive coaches and therapists coach me to where I can now, comfortably be the CEO of an 8-figure company going to 9 figures. Many of these skills can be taught in elementary school, if not certainly at middle school, and yet we don't, right? So with Girls Who CEO, I'm on a mission to empower every girl globally with agency and being in touch with her personal power. Because once you're in touch with your personal power, literally the sky is the limit. And so that's my second mission. And my third mission is as a board member of EO Silicon Valley, the Entrepreneur Silicon Valley chapter. Silicon Valley is literally the world's premier destination for entrepreneurs. And I have a very big charter of making EO's Silicon Valley a central conduit for entrepreneurs across the globe for tech. So any tech company with an SMB strategy, I really want them to come and use the EO Silicon Valley chapter as a way to getting to 20,000 scaled entrepreneurs globally, making a minimum of $1 million in revenue to multi-billions in revenue. So yeah, three
Great.
points.
Three excellent, lofty goals that you've got there.
Yes. So which is why, I actively reject board roles because I don't have time for it. I don't have time for tedium. I have time for building. So
Okay. But I think your answers are going to be really interesting here. A busy CEO, right? Who a lot of our audience will probably be thinking that it's you they need to get to, but maybe it's not, that we'll learn here. So when marketers hear CEO, what do you think they assume about your job that just isn't true in practice, and what actually takes up your time and energy, and what are you prioritizing?
It's very easy, I think, for somebody outside looking in to say, she's making 8 figures in revenue and must have a whole bunch of easy money to make poor decisions. That's not the case at all, because every decision that we make is an investment, and an investment that needs to pay its dues. Like, for example, I can give you an example. Open AI for Business, for example. As a CEO, one of my decision points was, do I invest in OpenAI as a business platform, or do I invest the budget in empowering every team member with their personal version of OpenAI that they can use to become the best versions of themselves? Right? And I actually chose the latter of the decisions because it was important to me for AI to be a personal asset for every team member to be their best selves versus almost one dimensional to say you can only use AI for business. I want you to use AI for every aspect of your life to become a better human being, to become a better employee, to become a better career person. Like, I want it to be an all-round thing. And I don't want you to feel like the business is watching over you as you're growing, because I'm certain that your personal growth and your professional growth will benefit the company and therefore will invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the difference? So it's almost like, yes. So many marketers, they approach me with, this is what we have to sell. But then once you understand what exactly I'm going for in terms of my business goals and in terms of the goals for my employees and my customers, my partners, I don't have any shareholders. I own all my companies 100%. That really, that understanding what my goals are will go a long way in helping me connect and sell the right product to me. So yeah. Oh, and one more thing, one more pet peeve. This actually happened with a large company selling B2B software. So they were trying to sell me a CRM service, right? So across my 3 companies, I had 3 different reps trying to sell me a point solution for my 3 different companies. And I said, no, I have a partnership opportunity with these global entrepreneurs. Like, I need one platform and I need a way to partner on a larger scale. And that is something that, it's almost like the frontline reps don't seem to have a direct conduit for higher level decision making, where they can say, oh, actually, one person is actually going to design an end to end solution for your needs. They're kind of still stuck in, this is my point solution that I have to sell to you, and therefore I'll sell to you.
And so is that an issue of the companies just not understanding sales at your level? Like, where is that disconnect in the issue, what you identified there?
I would say the disconnect is basically not understanding the real world business leaders' priorities. Because imagine this way: I have a banana to sell to you, and you're like, hey, I don't need a banana, I need banana bread with walnuts in it. And they're like, sorry, we only have a banana. But then the thing is that you have a banana, somebody else has walnuts, and you 3 can get together to make the banana bread to give it to this person who's in the market for banana bread.
Hmm.
and yet you don't have you don't you're not talking to each other. You don't have, how do I put together a solution that makes sense for this person who
Hmm.
probably can, afford a six-figure check for my software,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes.
yeah.
And I think what you're talking about there is something we often talk about on the marketing side is the disconnected or siloed marketing. Just kind of nothing matched up there. I think what you're talking about there is the same issue, but on the sales side as well, right? It's people have their own KPIs, their own metrics for where they are, but not saying, okay,
Yeah.
let's get out the silos and how do we do this together?
Completely. It's a marketer saying, hey, you know what? Like I just need to sell product X and I'm the product marketing manager for product X. I'm not interested in product Y or Z. But then as a customer, it's X plus Y plus Z that makes the holistic solution for me sing. So if you don't understand the problem that I'm trying to solve, you don't understand as a marketer that there is a bigger gap to fill, and you'll
Hmm.
actually make the sale, or you'll actually make a much bigger sale when you actually understand the problem.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yes, I mean you sound incredibly hands-on with what you're involved in here. Are there any types of I guess at what point of the process, if it's a big tech or software purchase, do you step back and let other people in your team drive or do the research, and when are you actively getting involved? And the reason I say this is I know a lot of companies are trying to go out and go straight for the CEO, and typically there's some lines before someone gets to you of research and things that would happen. Is that fair to say?
I am usually really hands off for
Mm.
most of the software my team buys, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, we made a big investment in a sales software platform. My CRO led it. We
Hmm.
made a big investment in Monday, actually Monday.com.
Hmm.
And my chief events officer led it because it really helps us with our planning software. We made a big investment in Cvent, my chief events officer. So usually I'm pretty hands off when it comes to software. I am hands on when it comes to like our CRM, for example. And this was a CRM play where it falls in between. It's not fully sales, it's not fully marketing. It basically and it's finance as well because of the contracting and the payments that need to happen. Then I get a bit more involved when it's like a little bit more cross functional.
Hmm.
But for most of the time, like, I'm pretty hands off with most software purchases.
And when you're saying you're involved, because we're talking to marketers here, right? Like when you're getting involved, are people sending you things? Are you going to websites? Like what does you being involved mean with a big purchase like this?
So for me, I'm usually looking to my team to first identify what problems they're hoping to solve. Like, I can talk about my Monday.com purchase, right?
Hmm.
So the chief events officer said, Sindhu, we have a national network of event planners. We don't have right now we use Google Drive to sit and look at all the planning documents. That's unsustainable. We actually need a planning board for every event. And she drove that project end to end, including engaging with Monday to get the planning board up and running, including engaging professional services to
Hmm.
actually get a customized implementation that worked for us. And my questions were, why wouldn't you use Airtable, or why wouldn't you use Trello, or why wouldn't you use something else? And she had to justify why Monday versus all of its competitors, and Asana and the others. So once I saw what her main points were and why she was going to one software versus the other, then that's an easy check to write. Because again, like, the way I think about it is, for a services company, like, I have an events company, and so it's a big services company, and labor is one of my biggest line items, and it probably is every company's biggest line items, right? Like, it's about, for us, it's about, literally, I would say, 60 to 70% of our cost structure. And when I'm spending so much on labor, anything that makes effort efficient is worth it for me. So it's understanding that P&L and L and understanding what the trade-offs are and understanding the competitive structure and what matters for us that really goes a long way.
Hmm. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
In 2026, like how are you typically discovering new vendors and solutions? Like how has AI changed the way you research and form opinions, and where is it helping and where is it actually not able to shortcut the decision process?
So here's kind of I'm an engineer. So I have been using Claude Code a lot to vibe code stuff that I just need to get done. Like, for example, very simple things. Like if I'm going to a conference, like before, it would be a really painful exercise between me and my chief of staff to be like, oh, who do we need to go meet and invite? And it was this painfully manual process to go for my chief of staff to go, person by person and say, oh, this person looks like they, they'd be beneficial for a meeting and so on and so forth. But now with Claude Code vibe coding, I can literally download an entire conference list and then I can upload it into AI and I can say, hey, using this custom algorithm, like tell me everyone that I should meet with. Then I can go and upload that thing into a platform like Apollo, Visa, or whatever, get their contact information, and then write HTML code via vibe coding, upload that list where I can start sending iMessages with a single button click,
Mm-hmm.
person by person, very customized.
Yeah.
And this is something that I just vibe coded in less than an hour, right?
Yeah.
So for me, when I think about AI and how it's being used, it's helpful in that pointed way. But where I find it a little bit unhelpful is right now we're on a massive journey to get like an entire cold outbound engine going for our business. And when I go to AI and say, help me get a cold outbound, then it'll say, oh, use Mailgun or whatever. But then the industry experts recommend email bison. And there is a reason why they do that. And, the technology is pretty involved. So I feel like AI is not yet up to speed on the best practices and what needs to
Mm-hmm.
happen, whereas leading cutting edge industry experts are. So we ended up investing in the leading edge experts to tell us what we need to do
Mm-hmm.
versus rely on AI just to buy software.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, to me, it's like I depended on an influencer to show me the way versus depend on AI. And so AI does well in, I would say, smaller scope things. But then when it comes to really specialized, high impact, niche plays, there's still like it's the experts that basically get my money. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Just the up to dateness of AI and the advice that it's giving. I've noticed a few slip ups myself recently that it's just not quite at the cutting edge of knowledge, right?
And as a company, especially as an evolved company, you're looking for the cutting edge. You're looking for small investments with outsized impact. And AI, there are certain areas where it does that, but
Yeah.
then not at this huge scale of setting, like, say, something as big as an entire cold email outbound engine, buying 50 domains, setting them up, orchestrating them through a whole tech stack of cold email platforms. Like that's just not what it's cut out for. And maybe it'll get there one day, but it's not there today.
Mm-hmm. So, where are you typically going to consume content or information about vendors? Are you going to websites, blogs? Have you vibe coded something that's bringing all this stuff together? Like, where are you getting all your latest information? Is it LinkedIn? Like, where are you going?
So right now, Substack and LinkedIn is where I, for example, Substack will literally have uh, have plays on vibe coding your investment strategies, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So it's certainly like, I find Substack very interesting and I find LinkedIn very interesting as well. But then I'm blessed in the sense that I invest in community networks. I'm part of entrepreneurs organization. So it's literally so much learning because you're learning from 20,000 global entrepreneurs in one go.
Mm-hmm.
So as you sit together and learn best practices from them, that's two thumbs up. I'm also part of Pavilion, Wednesday Women, Natri. So it's very community based learning as well. I'm probably traveling every single month to a conference. Next week I will be at NVIDIA GTC. So I'm very much on my feet, meeting people, and learning happens very organically as I'm rubbing shoulders with people at the top of their game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're in you're IRL as well as online.
I'm very much IRL. I prefer IRL to anything else because just yesterday I was with Wednesday Women, an executive outing to Silver Oaks Winery in Napa, a whole bunch of CMOs and whatever, like executive women from mostly from the Valley, but then also some of them flew in. And it was a whole discussion on new platforms that they were discovering that they were excited about. And that's
Mhm.
fantastic because we were doing it while drinking wine.
Mhm.
And you can imagine like how amazing that is. So I literally
Mhm.
came back with notes being like, oh, I have to like literally check into this and this. And also it's lovely because I am bang in the middle of Silicon Valley. I'm in Santa Clara.
Mhm.
So my network here is fantastic. Like for example, we've been Ring Central customers for the longest time. And if you're following Ring Central stock price, it's had a pop because of its AI product offering.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that. But then now one of my friends is an executive at Ring Central on the AI team. So he's like, no, Sindhu, you have to, really check out the AI customer service agent. And I know that's a real problem in my
Mhm.
business because my chief of staff is complaining about the number of calls we get on Ring Central. And she's like, Sindhu, it's driving me crazy. And I'm like, easy fix, like an AI
Mhm.
customer agent, like fielding calls will solve some of my team's issues, and then you move forward from there. So it's a very organic, it's the community you immerse yourself in. And again, that's the human at the end of the chain, because yeah, sure, I can go and read all I want, but that's not where the two-way street giving is happening. Because again, as the CEO of an events company and an AI company, a lot of my business, a lot of my revenue is built on relationships. So
Mhm.
as I'm building these relationships, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the weather, I'm going to talk about cutting edge technology, because that's the environment that I'm in.
Mhm. Great. So
Yeah.
in our world now, there are a lot of similar solutions. You'll see there are about making revenue, cutting costs. Like when you're comparing vendors that have got similar offerings, like what is helping you differentiate between them? Like where are they kind of failing to communicate the difference? And like what things would help you make decisions when things are very similar?
Um, for me, as somebody who really values human relationships, I really want companies to see me and my team as humans, right?
Mhm.
So when things are really similar, if somebody has actually taken time to even do like a 5-minute AI research on what my companies are all about, what my mission is all about, and if they come to me and they say, "Hey, Sindhu, you know what? Like, we understand that you really care about women in leadership. We really understand that you care about equalizing the imbalance in male to female CEOs."
Mhm.
That's very meaningful to me, man.
Mhm.
Irrespective of like the software that you're selling, sure, if your software sucks, I'm not going to buy it. But then, if your software is very, very comparable, and then you understand me as a person and my passions, and you're able to draw it to how you as a company show up in the world,
Mhm.
suddenly you have my interest. I mean, now I can relate to you as a human being and say, I have the same set of values. I believe in the same things. And this is my path to making the world a better place.
Mhm.
And that's hugely meaningful.
Mhm. So it's once that person has the contact with you or they've engaged, it's showing that they've gone the extra step to realize that you're a human behind the interaction.
Exactly. And right now with AI, it's 5 minutes. Like if you literally type my name into Chat GPT and say, tell me about Sindhu Srivastava, CEO of WeCrush AI and WeCrush Events, it'll give you a whole spiel of what I care about. It's
Yeah,
literally, it's that. It's almost like, did you take the time to write a single prompt and read the results?
yeah.
Right?
But I guess that's going to lead into my next question. Like, tell me about your experience of B2B sales teams. Like, what do they do well? What frustrates you most about the whole process, and kind of what could make it less painful?
Okay, so I do run a pretty large B2B sales organization with its own CRO and so on. And we recently had a CRO change and we have a new CRO. In the past, we were a spray and pray shop. We would do whole bunch of cold outbound calls, whole bunch of emails. but the tech systems have gotten really smart, right? Like, I mean, our when we do high volume cold outbound, it's not as simple as it was in the past where you would not get dinged for it. Like right now, most email servers will not think twice about putting you into the spam folder. So you need very sophisticated infrastructure, which is why I'm talking about this whole cutting edge outbound, cold outbound email engine that we're investing in from scratch, because things have evolved like crazy. It's not the whole inbox swarming is much more severe than it was in the past, right? So I will say that B2B sales has changed a lot, as has B2B marketing. And like right now, I don't pick up my phone if I don't recognize the number. I don't care who it is. If it's important enough, you leave me a voicemail, and I'm screening the voicemails to be like, do I want to talk to you? So it's almost like I've built walls and gates around myself because I don't have time, and I don't have time to waste, especially. So people have to get to me through creative ways, and you absolutely have my time. Where, like, if you catch me at NVIDIA GTC and you stop me and you say, Sindhu, this is, you care about this, and I've been following you, and I want to show you something. You have my attention there. So it's almost like, where are you showing up in places that I deeply care about and that I've invested the time to be at? And that's working for us a lot, right? So we've actually shifted to an account-based selling. Like, it sounds a little bit simple, but it's actually a very intentional and thoughtful approach, where when we reach out to our B2B customers, and we only do B2B sales, by the way, it's a very thoughtful approach of why, what, and how it matters. Like, I can give you an example, right? So we'll be like, hey, we're an event planning company. Who plans your events? And they'll be like, oh, like our admin plans it, and we don't think we need it. And then we send them a clip of what a world-class event looks like, which, if you're a executive assistant planning an event as one of the many things you do, you're not going to have the time to create an experience for the attendees where they feel wow from the time that they step in. And it's a reflection of you as a company. So say you're having a customer dinner, and you're like, yeah, we're going to order some takeout from Chipotle and have like takeout, and we're going to have customers sit around a table and do a roundtable conference. That is one way to set the mood up. But imagine the same set of customers are now sitting, on an oceanfront, in an oceanfront a conference room, in a way where it's a really elevated experience, and maybe the chef is speaking to them about food that they've created from their childhood and why it's so meaningful. Just the foil of that event creates an experience where customers are elevated in how they share. Do you see the intentionality, which is
100%, 100%.
right? So it's almost like, what experience and what foil are you creating around motivating your customers, and are they set up to really engage from their souls almost, versus they're there because they want to check another box,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it's really taking, and people are responding to the elevated experiences. Nobody comes anymore even to a steakhouse dinner because, like, dude, I can buy my own steak, thank you. It's literally these elevated experiences that now are so meaningful to them. And suddenly, if you're like, hey, Brené Brown is going to be there at the small group conference, and then you actually get to engage with her, and we'll do an exercise on what shame really is and how that shows up on day to day. And at the end of it, you'll walk out having a better understanding of your own leadership style, and then maybe how your team is showing up. That becomes very meaningful suddenly. Right? Of course, I'm going to show up to an event where I come out with a life-changing experience. And that's what we encourage people to really create. And even WeCrush events, like the way we have engaged our own employees. Like, for example, we had our offsite this year at New Orleans, and it was like an entire immersion into the New Orleans experience, like whether it was the po' boys, whether it was Arnaud's, whether it was a swamp tour with crocodiles. But the amount of meaningful business conversations that happen there is immense. Like, people are motivated when they get out, and, like, the go-getterness that you see after such an investment is off the charts. And it's almost like, how are you inspiring your customers to engage with you? How are you inspiring your own employees to operate from a mindset of abundance and not scarcity? Because
Yeah.
if you create an environment of scarcity, you probably will get scarcity back.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And how have you noticed have you noticed a shift since, I guess, kind of post-COVID, of just the desire to be together and just kind of things happening when people are together? Has that been as big as I
Yeah.
would imagine it?
So I think post-COVID, like people have started to realize like really how short our time in the world is.
Mhm.
And there's almost like an extreme, um, there's this extreme value associated with how I spend my time. And as an employee, as a customer, as a partner shareholder, nobody wants to waste their time. Like if I'm not into it, like chances are I'm not going to do it.
Mhm.
So it's really become an opportunity for people to connect to what you care about. So really, like I kind of call this strategy, like, when I talked about what I really care about, I care about women's leadership. I care about entrepreneurs and tech, and that intersection of how tech can make entrepreneurs much more efficient at their jobs, and Silicon Valley being a central conduit to global entrepreneurs. If those are the causes that I care about, and now if you're able to create a water cooler discussion around those large topics, you're suddenly able to attract many leaders who care about similar things to show up, and it's very meaningful, and a lot of business sales happen that way. So how large is the tent that you're putting out, and how many people are able to sit within that tent, and how warm and cozy and comfortable is that tent for
Mhm.
people to really connect?
Great. I'm going to
Yes.
ask you the final question. I feel
Yes.
you've answered this in many creative ways already, but just kind of a succinct final. Like, if you could sit in the next kind of marketing strategy meeting of a B2B software company and someone's trying to reach somebody like you with your experience and the business you're involved in, what would you tell them of how to go about that?
I would say create a tent. Create a
Hmm.
tent that is meaningful to literally your ideal customer profile, right?
Hmm.
For example, again, if Monday.com, I care about planning, like create a tent where people like really care about time and efficiency and being better at their jobs, because suddenly they formed a habit loop. So maybe invite James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, and create this tent of planning and efficiency and how to go about it. So it becomes a much bigger cause
Hmm.
than planning software, right?
Hmm.
Planning software is the small tactics, like how do you create a big tent that is about the time that people save and becoming better as human beings, becoming better at their work because they've invested in building habit loops and building planning skills.
Sindhu, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
If people wanted to learn more about you and your businesses, where is the best place for them to go?
Find them on LinkedIn, or just type my name in Chat GPT and be like, what is Sindhu all about? And what's the
Great
best way to
stuff.
reach her? And it'll probably give you an answer.
Great
Okay.
stuff. Thank you. And all your links will be in the
Yes.
description of the podcast. Thank you so much for your time.
Fantastic. Thank you, John. Yeah, take care.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Cindy.
Bye.
Thanks for spending time with us on B2B Influx. To learn more, head to somebodydigital.com.